Gurureva gatihi gurumeva bhaje gurunaiva sahasmi namo gurave na guru paramam shishurasmi gurur matirasti gurau mama pahi guru. Ram Ram Ram. So we have been revising the lessons, like we probably revised Stotrani, we have finished Kalidasa, and we have finished Vikramasya Udaryam. So we'll sorry sir? Yeah, so we had to go in that way, but I thought we'll complete the remaining lessons. So we have 2 lessons remaining. We have Brahmastavaha as 1 lesson, and we have Sukthirathnani as the 2nd lesson that are left. Grammar part, most of it is already covered, and even Rajyamis is revising. So we will go with Stotrani, Sukthirathnani today. So please open your books to the last lesson that you have, Sukthirathnani. What is the difference between Subhashitani and Sukthirathnani from the first view? When you see the lesson, what is the difference between Subhashita and Sukthirathnani that you observe?
May I try?
Sorry?
Anna, is it?
Just saying, so Subhashitani is like the full shloka.
Okay. Any other?
You can say that Subhashitani is like a kind of poetry because it has like some rhyming words, and also like it may have more than one meaning if we think further. But in these sayings, it's just like they're stating something directly.
Okay.
And in just line.
Moral of the story.
Very good. So the Subhashita is the complete shloka, and Sukthirathnani is just the moral from the entire Subhashita. So when you read Subhashita also, you have this Prayo Matikshiyate. So it starts giving you all the examples. So the first 3 lines are giving you examples, whereas it is only the 4th line that is giving you the complete meaning of the entire Subhashita. So 1 line of Subhashita is equivalent to 4 lines.
Even Rajagrani.
Rajagrani. So you have so many examples given, but finally they tell that these 7 or 8 have to be neglected in a society. So that is what Sukthirathnani and Subhashitani are different. Subhashitas are complete shlokas. Sukthirathnani are the gist of the entire Subhashita given in 1 line. And the beauty of this lesson is how many the beauty of Sukthirathnani, how many Sukthirathnani do you have?
10.
So the beauty is all the 10 are taken from 10 different Mahakavyas. So none of them come in the same grantha. They are all from different granthas, and they are taken from not any simple granthas. They are taken from the exceptional ones.
Is taken from Meghaduta.
Very good. So actually, compared to in the entire Tritiya book, this should have been the easiest lesson, which would have completed in probably half an hour. But I want to take this chance to introduce you to the depths of Sanskrit, and we will take only 2 Sukthiratnanis every class, because I want to tell you which grantha it is taken from, who is the author of that grantha, and I also want to give you the brief gist of the entire story of that grantha, because Tritiya is a very good starting point for you all to learn Sanskrit rather than memorize Sanskrit. Hence, I hope that this will be a very good endeavor, because previously I have not done this, but this time I was more interested personally also to learn where these exact shlokas are taken from. So we will start with that endeavor today. What we will do is we will take 1 Sukthirathnani. I will tell you who is the author and which book it is taken from, and I'll give you a brief storyline of that story, because you may have seen hundreds of movies, but the stories that are told in these granthas are very unique and very different. So it is very good to know, because firstly, as a story, it's very good to hear, and secondly, as a poet, you'll know what is the greatness of the poet. Hence, we will do that for each of these Sukthirathnani, and we will finish these 10 in a very long time compared to what I want to initially complete. I hope that is fine with everyone. So I know probably the better way to accomplish this task is, so today I will finish 2, but for the next class, if if you can find out okay, so today we'll be discussing 1 and 2. So in the next class, if you can come up with the name of the grantha from which 3 and 4 is taken, then it will be a good practice for you also to search where these granthas are from, and we can have a very good interaction as well. So today, since it was not decided, I will start with 1 and 2, and you can probably the main reason is, once I tell the story, it is quite interesting that you may go back and read it for yourself. So that is the main intention of what I'm doing. Okay, so with that we will start with Sukthirathnani. So the first Sukthirathnani, before I tell what is the meaning and what is the Sukthirathnani itself, I will tell you where it is taken from. It is taken from Abhignanashakuntalam.
First one.
Yeah, so the first one is taken from Abhignanashakuntalam. So who can tell me something about Abhignanashakuntalam? Who is the author of Abhignanashakuntalam?
Kalidasa.
Very
Kalidasa.
Kalidasa. Very good. So as the the beginning itself is a very good start point. It is Kalidasa's Abhignanashakuntalam. So firstly, let us discuss a little bit about Kalidasa. So in the lesson Kalidasa we have already discussed, but that was as a person, and the greatness of Kalidasa and the folklore around Kalidasa. We discussed about how he was in the king of Bhoja, he was in the kingdom of Vikramaditya, he was Navaratna. But here we will talk about Kalidasa as a poet. So Kalidasa, as we all know, is known as Kavi Kula Guru. He is also known as Mahakavi. So the beauty of Kalidasa, the greatness of Kalidasa's poetry cannot be described in words, and hence he is called as Kavi Kula Guru. He is the foremost Kavi among the the group of Kavis. And as we have already discussed in the previous Kalidasa class, I discussed a shloka. Pura Kavinam Ganana Prasange Kanishthikadishthita Kalidasa Adyapi Tattulya Kavera Bhavaha Anamika Sarthavati Babhuva, which describes the greatness of Kalidasa. Even the gods, when they started counting the great poets that have lived on earth, they only could find Kalidasa as the only poet. They could not find any more. That is the beauty of this shloka, and the meaning I've already explained it. So once I upload that video, probably you can revisit the shloka and know the meaning. So with that is Kalidasa. As a poet, he has written amazing works. So in poetry, there are different sections of compositions. So you have Mahakavyas, Khandakavyas, Natakas, and you have Champu. These are different types of kavyas. Kalidasa has written 2 Mahakavyas, 2 Khandakavyas, and 3 Natakas. Raghuvamsham and Kumar Sambhavam, these 2 are the Mahakavyas written by Kalidasa. Meghaduta and Ritusamhara are the 2 Khandakavyas. Malavikagnimitram, Vikramorvashiyam, and Abhignanashakuntalam. These are the 3 Natakas. So among these, we are first discussing about Abhignanashakuntalam. And again, the greatness of Kalidasa we have discussed. Now coming to the greatness of Abhignanashakuntalam, there is a beautiful shloka. Kavyeshu natakam ramyam, tatra shakuntalam varam, tatra picha chatushtonkaha, tatra shloka chatushtayah. So Kavyeshu natakam ramyam. So Kavya is any composition. In Kavya, the most beautiful form of Kavya is called Nataka. Nataka is any drama, skit, play. Among Natakas, the most famous or the most renowned play is Shakuntalam. Abhignanashakuntalam is the foremost or the best Nataka that has ever been composed. In particular, in Abhignanashakuntalam, the 4th canto of Abhignanashakuntala is the greatest. And in that 4th canto, there are 4 important, beautiful shlokas which gain the most prominence in literature. So that is the beauty that is described in this shloka. Kavyeshu natakam ramyam. It is beautiful. Tatra shakuntalam varam. So among natakas, the better one is Shakuntala. Tatra apicha chatushtonkaha. There the 4th act of Abhignanashakuntalam is the most beautiful. And there are 4 shlokas that furthermore enhance the beauty of Abhignanashakuntalam. So the 4th act is when Kandva. Okay, now coming to the story part. So now we have discussed Kalidasa, he as a poet and his works. So next, we have discussed about what are the different kavyas he has written. Then we have come to a particular kavya, which is Abhignanashakuntalam. And now we are going into the story. I know you know the story, but I'll tell it in the same flow. I hope it's fine. Okay. So the story is, of course, a very renowned. So you already have films in Kannada. If you have seen Kaviratna Kalidasa in Kannada, that is describing Abhignanashakuntala itself. You have a lot more, films that have come. But as a story, I'll tell you this. So this has occurred even before Mahabharata that we read occurred. Because the story is about Dushyanta, and Dushyanta is the predecessor of Pandavas. So this is a story that occurs even before the Mahabharata that we read occurred. But the beauty is, what Kavis do is, they take the original story and they modify it in a way that beautifies it. So Abhignanashakuntala is a story of Shakuntala and Dushyanta. So that is a very famous story. But Kalidasa has taken it and modified it in a way that makes it even more beautiful. So the story goes like this. So Dushyanta is the king of Hastinapura. Hastinapura, as we know, is still the kingdom of Pandavas, even in Mahabharata. Even before it was the capital. So Dushyanta was ruling this kingdom. And Shakuntala is the daughter of Vishwamitra and Menaka. So Vishwamitra is a sage and Menaka is the Apsara. So, when Menaka tried to, discourage Vishwamitra from doing the penance, they had a child and her name is Shakuntala. And
But
what?
I thought Menaka was married to the mountain god.
Yeah. So Apsaras are not bound by one marriage. They can have multiple marriages. In a similar way, the marriage between Vishwamitra and Menaka
To disturb penance.
Yeah, to disturb penance. That is the main reason, and that resulted in the birth of Shakuntala. And what happened is, since she was not a sage is not supposed to have a daughter,
She
Vishwamitra.
left it in Kanva's.
No, he didn't leave it. She was left, and finally Kanva found her and took her under her care, and he grew her, like he made her. It's like she grew under her his Kanva's grace. What happened is Dushyanta is a king, and he is more interested in hunting. So he goes on a hunting endeavor.
He finds the fawn of the sage.
Very good. So he finds a deer, and when he's about to hit the deer with his arrow,
those people of this hermitage.
so there's a particular rishi, and his name is called Vaikhanasa. So Vaikhanasa is the name of a sage who comes and stops Dushyanta, telling that you cannot hit this deer because it belongs to this ashrama.
Kanva.
And this ashrama belongs to Kanva. So Kanva is having, Kanva is out actually on a pilgrimage with all his students, and only the people in the ashrama are Shakuntala and his two friends, Anusuya and Priyamada. So these two are the sakhis of Shakuntala who are in the hermitage. All the others have gone on pilgrimage. So this particular Vaikhanasa, he is a rishi who is coming to Kanva's ashrama to pay homage to this rishi. As they come, they see Dushyanta trying to kill the deer. They stop and tell that you can't do this. But since you have done it by mistake, please come. We can go to Kanva. We can meet the rishi, and you can leave. So
when
Dushyanta,
they go there, they find. They ask Shakuntala. They ask those three friends if the Kanva.
So that is
there,
you're telling the actual story. I'm telling the Kalidasa story. So this is the twist that comes in Kalidasa story, wherein what happens is Dushyanta, in order to see, because the king is supposed to know how the kingdom is working, so he disguises himself as a common man. He leaves his chariot away, and he joins with them as a common person, and he enters Kanva's ashrama. And when he enters Kanva's ashrama, all the other rishis go into the hermitage, whereas Dushyanta stands there. He sees Shakuntala, who is picking flowers for the daily ablutions, and he sees and he falls in love. So what happens is Priyamada and Anusuya are actually not there around at that point of time. But later on, when they start meeting, and Kanva is, of course, in those days when you go for a pilgrimage, it can take months, it can take years. So for a long time, Dushyanta stays there, and finally Priyamada and Anusuya come to know that they both are liking each other, and finally they have a Gandharva Vivaha. So Gandharva Vivaha is not the actual marriage that you have. It is like our engagement process that you have in the current stage. So you engage rings or anything. So you engage something that is personal to you with the other person, and that is a contract that you have telling that you have married. But there is no witness and there is no proof. That is the only drawback of Gandharva Vivaha. But Dushyanta does that. The only thing is Dushyanta has already come out of his kingdom for a very long time, and kings should be in the kingdom to manage the affairs. So he realizes that if he stays here any longer, it can be a problem. So what he'll tell is, during Gandharva Vivaha, he'll give his Anguliyaka, and Abhignana Anguliyaka is the name. Abhignana means any signatory or significant. So it will have a symbol which will signify that it belongs to Dushyanta. So it is called Abhignana, means something that indicates. He gives his Abhignana Abharana, that is his Anguliyaka, to Shakuntala and tells, now I'm going back to my kingdom. But since Shakuntala will tell that I have to take
For the
permission.
proof, I'm giving you the king's ring.
So he'll tell that since I am going back, you have to take. She'll tell that I want to take the blessings and permission from my father. She'll consider Kanva to be her father. So she'll tell that take permission from Kanva, and I'll then only come. So he'll tell that okay, you take permission. I will go back to my kingdom, and once you take permission, please come back, and you can come to the palace. So what happens is
The Kanva comes like that.
Kanva comes, but after a very long time.
He'll hear a Nashariri.
Before Kanva comes also, what happens is, he is thinking about, Shakuntala is thinking
And
about.
Durvasa comes.
So Shakuntala is thinking about Dushyanta, and she'll be sitting. And Anusuya and Priyamada, they always discuss, okay, because after he has left, it's a long time before Kanva comes. So, they both are thinking that, okay, she is, depressed that he has left. So they'll keep talking, but she never replies. So she's always silent after, Dushyanta left. That's it. She never speaks. So, they're very sad. And, at that point of time, Durvasa comes. So Durvasa is known for his anger. He comes, and Shakuntala is sitting.
Becomes angry. No one is
So
respecting me
Priyamada and
here.
Anusuya would have gone to collect flowers for the puja. Shakuntala is the only person in the hermitage, and it is a ritual that when a Brahmin comes, you have to do the puja, but she does not. She's sad. She is deep in thought. So what happens is Durvasa comes. He calls, "Who is here?" No one replies. He can see Shakuntala, but she's not replying. After like 2-3 calls, he feels angry and he'll tell.
The person you are thinking of will forget you.
Yeah, so there is a beautiful shloka for that, which tells that the person whom you are thinking about shall forget you. And
then that time only Priyamada will come and played with the sage. She has not done any wrong. So Durvasa will tell the king, the person whom the Shakuntala is thinking of will remember Shakuntala if anything is there for witness.
Very good. So once Durvasa gives this shapa, and it's in the poetic format, it is known that when a shapa is given, the world shakes and tremors happen. So Priyamada and Anusuya realize that something is wrong. So they come running and see that sage Durvasa is leaving with anger, and they realize, okay, something is wrong, and they understand, okay, he has cursed. When they go and plead Durvasa, he'll tell that, okay, even I was wrong, that I did not look into the situation and I cursed. So the only way that this curse can be overcome is if some indication is given about the love between Dushyanta and Shakuntala to Dushyanta, then he will surely remember. So that is the.
Then they remember that the king's seal is there on the king.
So that's what. So during the Gandharva, they'll know that, okay, that seal itself is enough. So they'll think, okay, that is fine. But what Priyamada and Anusuya do is, they don't want to tell about the curse to Shakuntala because she is already depressed. Telling this news will even make her more depressed. So they keep it a secret between them. That's it. So after a long time, Kanva comes, and Kanva, when he comes, he'll see Shakuntala there, and using his Yoga Maya, he'll realize what has all has occurred. He'll realize about Dushyanta's Gandharva and Durvasa's curse. After this is done, then the Kanva comes, he'll realize that, okay, things are not right, but he'll feel happy that, because he'll understand Dushyanta is the king, and he'll understand he's a very good match for Shakuntala. Because ideally, Shakuntala is being a daughter of Menaka, is also of
Apsara, high level.
So she's of a caliber of a king. So a good match is Dushyanta.
Vishamitra is a king also.
So what happens is he'll finally accept, okay, that everything is fine, and then they all meet, and then Kanva tells, okay, now it is time. And of course, during this time, she is pregnant with Dushyanta's child at this point of time. So what happens is Kanva tells, okay, now that you are already pregnant, it is time that you reach your husband's place, and he'll arrange for the transit.
Then there is one person, there is a old lady called Gautami.
And
she gave the arrangements, but she told that who will give this thing, who will give the ornaments and all. So Kanva will tell God protects the good. So then in the trees and all, they'll find jewels and clothes.
Very good. So Kanva, what happens is when he's sending, it's actually customary that you send ornaments from the daughters or the bride's side to the bridegroom's place. So, but he's a sage. What can he have that time?
Very
when he
simple.
prays everything, and then he the gods bestow him with jewels in the form of the plants and the trees. They start throwing out ornaments, which are which are taken and given to Shakuntala to carry to her husband's place.
Now they went with some people of this thing, and then in Ganga they
Wait, there is a story there. So the thing is, once they are ready and they are about to send, this is considered to the departing of Shakuntala from Kanva's house till reaching of Dushyanta's place. This is the fourth canto. This is the fourth act, and this is the most beautiful part of Abhignyanashakunthalam. So Abhignyanashakuntala gets its beauty only because of this. The most beautiful shloka of Abhignyanashakuntalam is told by Kanva. Yasyatyaddya shakuntaleti hridayam samsprishtam utkanthaya kanthastambita bashpa vritti kalushas chinta jadam darshanam. वैक्लव्यं मम तावदीदृशमहो स्नेहादरण्योकसः पीड्यन्ते गृहिणः कथं नु तनया विश्लेषदुःखैर्नवैः. Why this shloka is beautiful is Kandva is a sage. So he is a sannyasi. He should have no attachments to worldly affairs. But still this shloka tells that me, Kandva is telling this. So me, being a sage, I'm experiencing so much of grief by departing a daughter who is not even my own. If that is the case, then how do people who have their own daughters departing from their homes, how do they bear the sorrow? That is the beautiful, most beautiful shloka of Abhignyanashakuntalam. When you get time, please read this shloka, because that the feelings expressed in this shloka are extremely good. So that's what. So Kandva, being a sage, he is feeling so much of grief. So how do people, common normal people who actually have their daughters departing, how will they bear the sorrow? That is the most beautiful part. So after this is done, so then Gautami and the other people from the hermitage, they take Gautami, they take Shakuntala and they depart. So at this point of time, Priyambada and Anasuya are left back. So they can't continue to Dushyanta's place and they're left back in the kingdom, in the hermitage. On their way, they have to cross Ganga. And at that point of time, they're traveling in a boat. And she is, happily, she's thinking about Dushyanta and she's playing in the water. And suddenly,
and then the ring falls down.
The ring slips off. And this is the turning point of the story. So the ring has slipped off. But of course, now Priyambada and Anusaya have not told Shakuntala that she should have that. So only thing that in the actual Kalidasa Sukthirathnani, they beautifully mention, the Priyambada and Anusaya subtly tell that, and Shakuntala, please keep this Anguliyaka, carefully. It's a very beautiful Anguliyaka. They'll tell it in a subtle way. Of course, she's already lost in thought. She won't even care about that. And it's lost. And of course, she does not even recognize it, that it is lost. And when they're going, they tell Gautami that please tell Shakuntala to show this Anguliyaka. There is only one person, Gautami, who will know that, okay, something is there. And it is lost. She does not even realize, and they reach Dushyanta's place. Now, I'll tell you the difference between actual Abhignyanashakuntala that has occurred in Mahabharata and Kalidasa's Abhignyanashakuntala. So this is the point where it changes. In actual Abhignyanashakuntala, what happens is they reach Dushyanta's palace, and once reaching Dushyanta's palace,
Who are you then?
so this is the actual story. They reach Dushyanta's palace, and when they are brought in front of Dushyanta is the king. And what happens is, once they are got, Dushyanta realizes that he remembers Shakuntala, and he'll tell that, but the thing is, there is no proof of their marriage, and he is a king, and some random lady, of course, the citizens of the country, she's a random lady, and she's coming in front of the people and telling that I'm your wife. If the king accepts, he's a weak king, because he is ready to marry any random person and he's not ready to ask for proof and accept. So what he'll do is, in the actual story, he'll tell, I don't know who you are. That is the actual story. He'll tell directly that I don't know who you are, and you're coming and faking the marriage news. She'll feel very angry, and she'll tell the gods that if I'm actually a pativrata and if this marriage actually occurred, please help me. And that time Nasharira Vani comes and tells, oh Dushyanta, you're not doing right. You can't, just because of your pride, you should not fake the news that you should not break the promise that you have made, and accept her as your wife. That Asharira Vani proves his innocence, and people also accept that, okay, they're married. But what is the drawback in this story? You're making the hero look weak, because the hero is not courageous enough to accept that he is married. So Kalidasa beautifully changes the story. What happens is, in Abhignyanashakuntalam written by Kalidasa, this Abhignana Abharana is the main key. So now that Shapa has been given, so Durvasa's Shapa and all are not there in actual story. That is the creation of Kalidasa. So now what happens is, when Dushyanta sees, he has forgotten about it, because once the Shapa has been given, Dushyanta forgets. And when when Shakuntala comes, he is actually not knowing that she is Shakuntala and he is married. So he'll tell, really, I don't know. But then of course, here also you can't make the heroine very much stronger, because if the heroine does that, oh gods, please help me, then the heroine become very strong and the hero become very weak. So to balance this hero-heroine act, there is no other means, and Gautami and the other people from the village, from the hermit, they are told by Kandva that drop her and come back. And there is one particular disciple of Kandva who is very strict. He follows rules precisely. So what he'll tell is, okay, Gautami, the other person who has come, Gautami, see, we have been ordered by Kandva to drop her at Dushyanta. Whether he accepts her or not, it's not our problem. We have done the task, let us go back. That is the thing. But Gautami is a very kind lady, and
She does not like her leaving her.
she won't like. But there is no other rule because that person is actually appointed by Kandva to do the task. If he has told, okay, they have no other option. So Gautami tells, okay, bless you, my dear, I can't help you, sorry, and they leave, and Shakuntala is left. What happens is she starts living as a common person in the kingdom of Dushyanta. And at this point of time, what happens is the ring that was fallen is swallowed by a fish,
Yeah.
and the fish is caught by a fisherman. And
From Dushyant's place.
Yeah. So the fisherman is from Dushyanta's kingdom.
So the soldiers will find out, and then
No. What happens actually is when he gets the fish, he cuts it open and he finds the ring. And he's a poor man. Finding such a great thing is a great thing. So he'll try to sell it so that he gets some money. When he's selling it, he's caught by the soldiers. And they recognize just by the symbol.
And then Dushyanta remembers Shakuntala.
No, that is not the case. That's what every time Kalidasa finds that there is something very easy, he'll try to make it difficult and complex. So what he does is he'll get the Tabarana, the soldiers will capture him and he'll tell. And when Dushyanta, he's brought in front of Dushyanta, and once Dushyanta sees, everything comes back. Oh, okay, Shakuntala was actually the person I married, and I caused a lot of problems. So he'll realize. But at the exact point, Indra calls Dushyanta for fighting against Asuras. So
So Matali came.
Yeah, so the thing is, in most of the stories, if you see, great kings were equivalent to gods. So and they were called by gods to help them fight wars against demons. So in that similar way, even Dushyanta is called by Indra to fight against Asuras, and he goes away. He remembers that Shakuntala is the wife, but he goes away and he comes back after 8 years. So 8 years he's on war. He comes back and he realizes his mistake, and he immediately goes in search of
Matali
Shakuntala.
traps him in some random place.
That is probably a different actual story, but here he comes back and then he realizes, okay, I've done the mistake, but he does not know where Shakuntala is. But because if he knew that it was in the priest's place, he would have found out easily. So Kalidasa makes it even difficult. He goes in search of Shakuntala, and he finds he tries searching, and after a long time he finds someone tells him that there is actually a boy, a young boy who has just been born, who's 3-4 years, who plays with lions. So there is a young boy, probably 3-4 years old, who's playing around with lions. And he understands, okay, he should be my son because only my son can be capable of fighting with lions at such a young age. And he goes in search of this boy. And exactly, outside a small hermitage, he sees a boy who's playing around, he's, beating lions, he's taming them, and he's playing around with the cubs. And he asks the boy, oh boy, who are you? He tells, I'm Bharata. So Bharata, and he tells, who is your mother? And he tells Shakuntala. Then he realizes, okay, he is my son and she is my wife. And he finally meets Shakuntala, and the plot concludes with a happy ending wherein Dushyanta remembers Shakuntala, he takes, and that is why from Bharata the country got the name Bharata Varsha or Bharata. So that is the beauty of Abhignyanashakuntala. That's what, rather than going in the traditional approach of the Dushyanta and Shakuntala story, Kalidasa takes a detour so that the king is not weak. So in this case, the king actually is bound by the curse, so he is not weak. Shakuntala is not bound by the god's grace; she is not strong. So the balance has been brought about and the beauty has been restored. That is the Kalidasa's Abhignanashakuntalam. Now, coming to this particular Sukthi, Snigdha Jana Samvibhaktam hi dukkham Sahya Vedanam bhavati. So this particular occurrence occurs when Shakuntala is deep in thought about Dushyanta, Kandva is out, Durvasa has not yet still come. At this point of time, Priyamvada and Anasuya tell this statement to Shakuntala. So this line comes at that point of time. So what it means is Snigdha. Snigdha is very close people. Snigdha Jana is close people. That is people who are very close to you, relatives, friends, whoever. Snigdha Jana Samvibhaktam. Samvibhaktam is told. Vibhakta is to divide. Here it means that Snigdha Jana Samvibhaktam. So the dukkham. So here talking about grief. So she's in grief. So the Priyamvada and Anasuya are telling the sorrow that is divided among the close ones. So if you tell your sorrows to the close ones, Sahya Vedanam Bhavati, it will become tolerable. So this is the line. Snigdha Jana Samvibhaktam hi dukkham Sahya Vedanam Bhavati. The sorrow that is
before telling the thing that Durvasa got.
Yeah. So before that, they tell that the sorrow that is divided among the close ones becomes tolerable. the sorrow that is divided or shared among the close ones becomes tolerable. So this is okay. Today we could only complete one because the time is up. So probably from the next class we will try to complete two. But if it takes one also, I'm happy because at least I can give you a lot more details. So let us hope that this endeavor is fruitful. So with that, we'll conclude today's meeting. So any doubts? Of course, it was more of a storytelling class rather than a lesson class. So I hope there is no other doubts. You conclude. Gurudeva Gurumeva Bhaje Gurunaiva Sahasmi Namo Gurave Na Guroh Paramam Shishurasmi Guror Matirasti Gurau Mama Pahi Guru. Ram Ram Ram.